Holy f***! I think we've been invaded for the second time in the past year. So what are we talking about today? The article, I'll actually put a link in the description. But anyway, it goes on to talk about how the Canucks got caught over here spying on American citizens at a gun show in Montana at Great Falls. The story goes a little something like this. There's a gun show down in Montana, and some of the people there noticed that, hey, there's a lot of Canadian plates. Why are there Canadian plates at this gun show? Because you can't buy guns in America for Canada. Well, they did a little bit of an investigation on it. They called the sheriff, and they found out the Canucks were actually in there, not Canadian citizens. The Canadian government was actually in the United States at a gun show spying on American citizens. So, we're talking about espionage here, clear violation of the Fifth Amendment. Then we got a clear violation of Article 1, Section 10. Yeah, that's pretty bad. Well, after they basically interrogated them, I think they should have been locked away and a full investigation should have been done, but there wasn't. But the interrogation that did happen, they pointed the finger at the ATF and said the ATF gave them permission to run foreign operations on our soil. More specifically, espionage operations, which is pretty wild. Now, there are other incidences that don't connect to the ATF, so I'm not really 100% sure if they were just throwing the ATF under the bus to get a get-out-of-jail-free card, because everybody knows that the ATF violates the Constitution, you know, daily. Let's be real, daily. And if they threw them under the bus, that the government would probably just kick them back to Canada real quick, so there wasn't no investigation done. I don't know. I suspect the Brady campaign had something to do with this, because this isn't the first time it happened. Remember those lawsuits from Mexico? Well, yeah, the first one was very vague and totally reasonable for the country to file that type of lawsuit. Well, I shouldn't say reasonable, like, the vagueness of the lawsuit would make sense if another country had filed it. But their second lawsuit had details in it, naming specific gun shops. The only way they could have got that information, remember, this is a government from another country, is if they had committed espionage, crossed the border, infiltrated America, and basically invaded us, collected what they needed, and then went back.
Igual, pues ya tengo 15 años de policía.
Like it or not, I get it, you know, they call themselves the police, but look, they're riding around on technicals. They're carrying machine guns. They wear heavy body armor. They have hand grenades. To me, the Mexican police is still a military force. To me, I see about as much difference between the Mexican police and the Mexican military as the United States Marine Corps and the United States Army. There's differences, but they're one and the same. They're all a part of the same exact family. So like it or not, the Mexican police coming over here doing an investigation, that is the Mexican military infiltrating the United States country and committing espionage. We were invaded by a foreign military.
Yeah. 15 años de experiencia.
Now, the word at the dinner table is that the Brady campaign was responsible for this. They had funded it. They had made it possible. They got them safe passage there and back. Could the ATF have also been involved with that one? I don't know. Now, is it considered an invasion? I'm not 100% sure on this. There is 18 U.S.C. 1385, which makes it sound like an invasion.
Count it up! 6, 4, 1, 2, 3. Stand down.
These cadets are training to become members of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
Stand down. Hey!
So, besides the Canucks' inability to properly use a razor and be shaved, what real difference do you see behind their boot camp to be a mountain man and American military training? Let me play a little clip for you of American military boot camp.
The new cadets are assigned to companies, where they learn the basics of taking orders.
You wait for all commands. Do not do things on your own initiative.
And marching in formation.
And then you got Article 4, Section 4. I mean, that kind of makes it sound like an invasion. So if it is an invasion, we can no longer say that we've never been invaded. So we've been invaded twice now within the past year, and it only seems to be getting worse. Next thing you know, we're going to have a bunch of guys in blue helmets running around with UN written on the side of it telling us how we should run our legal system and auditing things, which isn't allowed, but apparently it is now, so I don't hear Congress freaking out and running a big investigation over this, so clearly they're going to let it go, because remember, this happened in September. It's October now. If this happened in September, like 19th, we should have heard about this, and an investigation should have been started on September 20th, but it hasn't. What the hell? So apparently that's allowed now, and remember, according to the Constitution, no, they can't come and audit our practices. No, they can't come and tell us how to enforce our laws. They can't come and try to enforce laws on us. All of that is prohibited, again, with Article 1, Section 10. So why do I think it's the Brady campaign? Again, because they already did it with Mexico. Now, should a full investigation happen and they actually, like, legitimately look into this, yeah, I think we'll go back to the Brady campaign. So is the Brady campaign or the ATF, should they be charged with treason? I mean, Article 1, Section 10 is pretty clear. No alliances are allowed. None at all. Not with a foreign country. Will an investigation happen? Will anybody be charged with treason? I highly doubt it. I mean, literally, the ATF itself is a non-constitutional agency. Like, they violate the Constitution just being in existence. Not to mention all the little violations that happen along the way. Them as a whole, like, them just being in existence is a violation. So if that doesn't matter and they're allowed to exist, why in the shit would they give a rat's ass about Article 1, Section 10, or anything else that's written in the Constitution? We'll have to see how that all plays off. Because remember, the ATF was put there to enforce a tax that was put into place to prevent poor people from getting certain types of firearms. Yeah, they'll go back on the History Channel and be like, oh, it was the Valentine State Massacre. No, that's bullshit. It really is. You can follow the Civil Rights Acts and how Indians and black people got civil rights, and it lines up exactly with NFA stuff. As soon as they started getting civil rights, bam, NFA. Keep all the poor people from buying guns, a.k.a. keep Indians and black people from buying firearms. As they started moving up through the political chain and they got more and more civil rights and were actually identified as an American, well, then you got the GCA, the 86 band, like all that stuff happens. It lines up perfectly. I did a whole video on this if you want to see. But yeah, so remember, you can't restrict any firearms at all from American citizens. It says right there in the Constitution. And remember, the Constitution isn't written to the people. That's not telling them what they can and can't do. That's written to the government saying how much power they exactly have when it comes to the Second Amendment, which is 0, shall not be infringed. Because you can't restrict Indians and black people anymore because now they're considered American citizens. Yeah, it was okay before, but they weren't considered people. And if they're not people, they're not American citizens, so therefore you can restrict guns from them. Well, as they became people and American citizens, well, now you can't do that anymore because they're protected by the Constitution. So what they'll do is just hit you with a big-ass tax. Since they're brand new into the citizenship world, well, obviously they don't have a whole lot of money, so a big tax would prevent them from having certain scary firearms. Anyway, sorry I kind of went off on a rant there. But yeah, so that's pretty much how it boils down. Nothing's going to happen with this. If something does, I'll actually be surprised. But nothing will. This will just fly under the radar and it'll go into the pile of shit that should have never happened in the first place. That we've written a document to the government. Remember, the Constitution starts off as we the people telling the government what they're allowed to do. Not the government declaring what they're allowed to do. This was us telling them, this is what powers you specifically have. Don't violate them. Even though they are, practically on a daily basis, I just don't even know what to say at this point. I guess I'll just end the video. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you'd like to help support the channel, I got a Patreon right there. I also have affiliate links in the description down below. Just by clicking on those particular links, even if you don't purchase what that particular link is for, just clicking on it and doing the Amazon shopping you were already going to do anyway. I'll kick back for it because you came there off my channel. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.